We are going to have to act.
Awaiting orders. Reporting. Affirmative. 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 Of course. Yes, sir. Reporting and waiting. Agreed. Yes, sir. Reporting. Very well. Reporting. Yes, sir.
Medic reporting. Moving out.
Acknowledged. At once. At once. Affirmative. Very well. Agreed. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Agreed. Acknowledged. Reporting. Very well. Yes, sir. At once. Very well. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Very well. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Agreed. At once. Ready and waiting. At once.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Awaiting orders. Very well. Acknowledged. Agreed. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Affirmative. At once. Agreed. Of course. Affirmative. At once. Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders. Agreed. Very well. At once.
Yes, sir.
Reporting. Of course.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. At once. At once. Very well. Affirmative. Affirmative. Very well. At once. At once. Very well. Very well. Agreed. Affirmative.
Unit firepower
Agreed.
upgraded. Unit armor
Affirmative.
upgraded.
At once. At once. Agreed.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Awaiting orders. Very well. Very well. Of course. Of course. Very well.
Medic reporting.
Acknowledged. Very well. Very well. At once. Yes, sir. Agreed.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Very well. Very well. Agreed. At once.
Medic reporting. Moving out. Affirmative. Affirmative.
There is a very
Affirmative.
unstable situation on
Moving
the
out.
ground that is
Affirmative. Moving out. Affirmative. Affirmative. Moving out. Moving out. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Moving out. Moving out. Affirmative. Affirmative. Moving out. Moving out. Affirmative. Moving out. Moving out. Moving out. Affirmative. 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 Moving out. Affirmative. Affirmative. Moving out.
Unit firepower upgraded.
Moving out.
Reporting. Agreed. At once. At once. Agreed. Agreed. Ready and waiting. Ready and waiting. Affirmative. Affirmative. Agreed. Very well. At once. At once. At once. Agreed. Of course. Very well. Affirmative. Yes, sir? Yes, sir?
Unit lost.
At once. Very well. Affirmative.
Unit armor
Affirmative.
upgraded.
Yes, sir? Agreed. Affirmative.
Medic reporting.
Reporting. Very well. Yes, sir. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. At once. Agreed. At once. Very well. Very well. Awaiting orders. Very well. Acknowledged. Agreed. Affirmative. Very well. Agreed. Agreed. At once. At once. Agreed. At once. Agreed. At once. At once. Agreed.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Moving out. Moving out. Moving out. Moving out.
Awaiting orders. At once.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Moving out.
Very well. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Reporting. Agreed. Acknowledged. Agreed. Awaiting orders. Agreed. Very well. Agreed. Very well.
Yes, sir.
Ready and waiting. Agreed. Very well. Ready and waiting. At once.
Mission
Very well.
saved.
Agreed. At once. Agreed. Affirmative. At once. At once. Of course. Agreed. Affirmative. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. At once. Agreed. Affirmative. Affirmative. Reporting.
Reinforcements
Affirmative.
have arrived.
Agreed. Reporting. Very well. At once.
Unit
Affirmative. Very
firepower
well.
upgraded.
Very well. Ready and waiting. Affirmative.
Medic reporting. Out. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. At once.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Agreed. Of course. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Agreed. At once. Affirmative. At once. Very well.
Medic reporting. Moving out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Agreed. Of course.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Very well.
Unit lost.
Awaiting orders. Agreed.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Move out.
Of course. Of course. Of course. Of course. Move out.
Unit armor
Awaiting order.
upgraded.
Affirmative. At once. Very well. Of course. At once. Very well. Yes, sir. At once. At once. Of course. Very well.
Unit
Very well.
lost.
At once. Yes, sir. At once. Very well. Very
Unit
well.
lost.
Agreed. Affirmative. Very well. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Very well.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Of course. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit firepower upgraded.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. At once. Agreed. Very well. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Reporting. Very well. Affirmative. Very well. Of course. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Yes, sir. At once. Waiting orders. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Very well. Waiting orders. Very well. Affirmative. Agreed. Yes, sir. Very well. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Waiting orders. Of course. Reporting. Yes, sir. Very well. Yes, sir. Reporting. Acknowledged.
Medic reporting. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Waiting order. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Mission accomplished.